once a week the scope gifted. With the presence in your eyes, what a distraction. Beautiful to soul, especially in action. This year not a ration, came in abundance. Films like in Sundance, tech like the pop art. Tachi queen, you are Curtis the Beast heart. You want to carry, cause MCs they all vary. So they motivate, work for the hate. We serve a hope on the plate across different platforms. This year we'll play, hydration like Boucher. Don't focus on the day, we always here for you. Don't look you emotionally broke. Settle in our knowledge and conversations, don't make them yours. What we run is the limit, now your hands on the torch. Take it easy like Sundays on the porch. MediaScope when you emotionally broke. Settle in our knowledge and conversations, don't make them yours. What we run is the limit, now your hands on the torch. Take it easy like Sundays on the porch. You award winning with no award tours. This culture meets the art, podcast with the heart. And essence of the growth, the power's in the people. Without you we ain't equal, what we lack is ego. We're back now, so here we go, run the show like Arsenio. Episodic or rituals, minds change the visual. Representation of our nation and its differences. Some explanation of our uniqueness and innocence. Mass media's intention is to desensitize. We raise the wise and knowledge is power. Without it we turn coward and proud of a known product. Like we can take it with us. I wish the greats were still alive and here with us, but it is what it is. We're left here to share our gift, and that's precisely what we'll do with it. Shape shift them fluidly. We can pass this test and still in our unity, elevating through stress. Yes, MediaScope when you emotionally broke. Settle in our knowledge and conversations, don't make them yours. What we run is the limit, now your hands on the torch. Take it easy like Sundays on the porch. MediaScope when you emotionally broke. Settle in our knowledge and conversations, don't make them yours. What we run is Olympic, now your hands on the torch. Take it easy like Sundays on the porch. It's up to you. You got your torch now. MediaScope. We here for you. We got it all. Tech, pop, music. We got it all. Tech, pop, music. We got it all. Yeah. 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 Tech, pop, music. We got it all. We got it all. We got it all. Tech, pop, music. Tech, pop, music. MediaScope.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the livest media, tech, and pop culture party in the land, in my opinion. This is MediaScope, all things media, tech, and pop culture. Guess what? So let me tell you that today I am by myself. Well, not by myself. Tech-wise, I'm by myself. I don't have MC Curtis today to run things, so give me some grace, okay? Just give me a little bit of grace, but I'm not by myself because I have some amazing, amazing guests with me. But first of all, before we do all that, I'm going to give you the hug to let you know that I appreciate you being here with me. You could choose to be anywhere else in the world, but you chose to be here, and for that, my friends, I am forever grateful. This is going to be an amazing, amazing, amazing conversation. I have to share this out to some people, talk to some friends, and all of that. So let me just say, first of all, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, what's up? We've got YouTube also. History Needs You is here and says History Needs You is in the house. That's what I'm talking about. It's good to be in somebody's house. And if you're going to be in the house, it's good to be in this one. GR Houston Jack is here also from the YouTube side and says, good evening. Oh, well, good evening to you. First of all, for those of you, I know History Needs You. Are you still in Scotland? Let me know. I know that you are in the UK. So you're not celebrating the 4th of July. But if you celebrated the 4th of July, how was it? Did you have a good time? Was it fun? Or was it just hot dogs for you? Let me know in the chat. I'm interested to know. So also, if you're watching us on Twitch, welcome, Twitchers. It is good to have you here. Twitch on, Twitch on. LinkedIn, if you happen to be watching us on LinkedIn, it is good to have you here. No shade today. Welcome, LinkedIn. And for those of you that are going to be listening tomorrow on Gospel 107.1 FM in Nassau, Bahamas, and the rest of the Caribbean, a multitude of blessings. Picture the Amen song playing again. I'm by myself today. I don't have MC, so it is what it is. So we're going to get going in just a minute. I am really excited. We have, you guys know that we are getting ready to launch a network, which we are super excited about. But sorry, Arlesia Mays. Let me say hello. She says, hey, sis, what's up, Arlesia? Good to see you. So History Needs You is in Scotland, far in the northeast where the sun barely sets. Wow. Forever summer for real. And Shelly Shell is here on the Twitch side. Fantastic, Shelly Shell. It is good to have you. It's good to have some Twitchers in the house. You know, I don't know. So here we go. So GR Jackson says, we do not celebrate the 4th, but we did put a few hot dogs on the grill. Okay, you know, 2 hot dogs, one for everybody, right? You know, whatever the case is. No, I feel you. It, you know, for some people really celebrate. Some people it's just another day. So if you went to see fireworks, I hope you were careful. And, you know, here in South Florida, fireworks are not illegal like they are in other places. So you see I mean, there are some that are illegal, but you see like some of the types that you would see at the Macy's 4th of July Spectacular are the stuff people set off at their house. Probably not a good thing, but whatever. For a beautiful display in any case. All right, so we're going to get to it. We have guests today. I am super excited that we have guests. And you know what? I need to do this. I need to go through and introduce myself properly. In case you don't know who I am, my name is Tachi. I am a media professor, filmmaker, media content producer, also a journalist. And this is MediaScope. This happens every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Eastern time or 6 p.m.-ish Eastern time on all the multitude of platforms that you see over there, and also soon to be IndieSoup Media. And if you happen to be watching on YouTube and you are not subscribed, I would love it if you did me a solid and subscribed on the YouTube side. That would be so great. I would appreciate that. And that's it for right now. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get to our guests. I am so excited to have them. So you know what? Let's bring them to the stage. Here we go.
Hello.
Hi there, Dr. Tachi. Thanks for having us. Hi, Shaina.
Hi. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, no, thanks for having me. Right. Thanks for agreeing to come on and hang out for a spell. This is absolutely phenomenal. I am so honored to be in the presence of greatness of these two individuals. If you don't know, you are not following them, you should be following them. I think you know not your greatness. I think you know not your greatness, but we're about to share that with the audience because you truly are great. And by the way, audience members, if you have questions or I know you all going to go with the comments because you keep the comments coming, but if you have questions for them, in terms, we're going to be talking video today and content and creating content. If you have questions for them, please ask. We are happy to take questions. But first, why don't we get to some introductions? Let's start with you, Shaina. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Shaina Herrera. I am a content creator. I am also a momager. And in addition to that, I am a designer for Kate Spade, New York. I design all of their hardware, etc., gifting. Been around the world, in design, and just really happy to be here. I'm really excited. And more importantly, I am one of the content creators on IndieSoup's new network. I'm so excited to share all the things that I'm going to be talking about on the network and on my channel. Stay tuned.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going to ask all of you to stay tuned, but this is going to be a great sneak peek today of the types of things that Shaina is going to talk about. We're really excited about having her. And now we are going to head over to my friend. I've known him for like donkey years at this point now.
That's a long
Gary
time.
Lanham. Donkey years is a long time. Gary, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks, Dr. Tachi. My name is Gary Lanham. I'm a real estate broker in South Florida. I mainly sell in the Broward County, Fort Lauderdale area. And I met Dr. Tachi, let's see, it was during the last recession. And she got me interested in video. And I'm so excited to share my experience with you today and talk about the new network, IndieSoup.
Fantastic. All right, so let's get to it. And again, if you all have questions, comments, no, I don't want your concerns, just your questions and your comments. Today is not a concern show.
Not today.
Not today. Maybe another, even not then, no. But if you have questions or comments, let me know. Oh, and we have to say, Ron Foster is here. He is absolutely amazing. He's also a creator on the platform. He is a photographer extraordinaire, and we are excited. Look, everybody from IndieSoup is coming in today. Terry Johnson is here. She is also a creator on IndieSoup and MediaScoper, of course. Fantastic. So we are very happy to have them both here. Let's get into some questions, if I may. So let's start with Shaina. Or actually, let's start with background. Shaina, tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, actually, what you do in fashion, and how you use video to help you up-level fashion.
Okay, so as mentioned, my name is Shaina Herrera. I have been in the fashion industry for 21 years now. Woo! Long time. My background consists of handbag design. I spent 15 years designing handbags for some of the major brands that you guys probably wear right now. I am currently designing hardware, which is all of the chains and locks, etc., for Kate Spade, New York. As well as all of the gifting items like clutches and key fobs, etc. But most importantly, I am a content creator who really likes to focus on fashion and how to utilize your wardrobe for your budget. I am also a momager to my son, Michael Herrera, who is killing it in the industry right now. You will see him on various advertisements such as Target and Children's Place, Costco, etc. So I am very much multifaceted. I wear a lot of hats, but most importantly, I am an educator. Unofficially, I do not have a PhD yet, but I'm looking for somebody to give me an honorary doctorate. But my foundation is fashion, and I think that as far as like using video to educate and express my knowledge of fashion is highly important. I love to use video as far as teaching how to shop in your own closet, how to elevate your profile, and in addition, how to generate new community members, for the lack of a better term. No, it's not a lack of a better term. Community members. Yeah. So that's how I utilize video in terms of fashion and community. Yeah.
So we'll get to some more about what you do in fashion, and maybe we could get some stories out of you, because I know you have a bunch of them. So with that, we are actually going to head over to Gary. Gary, now it's your turn. Share with us.
Thank you, Dr. Tachi. So I met Dr. Egwu about 2009. I am a real estate broker. I'm in my 19th year of doing real estate. When I met Dr. Tachi, I was pretty new. I'd only been in real estate about 6 years. And we talked about the possibility of how do you scale your operation? How do you scale your business? How do you become bigger than you actually are? I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia, for example. I've lived in South Florida for 23 years, and my training and background is in healthcare. So real estate was my second profession. And so when I met Dr. Tachi, I said, how can we scale and I can look bigger than I really am so that my business can grow and I can flourish? And we started talking at that time about the beginnings of doing video. And as you may recall, in 2009, 2010, you had Google and you had the ability to do Google movies where they did Sam Brown and they could zoom in or zoom out on a photograph and they'd add music, you could add captions. And it almost looked like you had a piece of video, and it was the early stages of video. And since then, in fact, right after that, I was able to sell I had a brokerage company, Lanham and Associates. I was able to sell my real estate company to the big guy, Caldwell Banker Realty. And one of the main reasons that they purchased my company was because of my handle on video, thanks to Dr. Tachi, and the way that we could show a house, sell a house. And of course, COVID came and we sold over 25 houses one year without ever getting the buyer inside the house. Wow. So that's kind of a brief introduction of where I am with this and how we started using video and how we continue to today.
Wow. That's absolutely amazing. And for some reason, my camera is wanting to misbehave today. It just like shut off. So I'm going to work on getting it back on. So don't mind me. You see my face, my open mouth anyway. So we'll work on getting it back on. So don't worry. So folks, if you're just joining, welcome to the fold. This is MediaScope. I'm joined here today by Gary Lanham and Shaina Herrera, who Gary Lanham is he is a realtor and a real estate broker extraordinaire. He's also known as the video realtor, basically. And then also Shaina Herrera is a YouTuber and Instagrammer, a content creator at heart, who also happens to be a designer. So both can exist at the same time. So let's see. All right. Are we, okay. Look, it's not trying to happen for me here. So we're going to just keep going. Don't worry about it. We're going to keep going and get it. Yeah. I don't know why. Of course, when I have to run things by myself, my camera wants to misbehave. Of course. So let's shut that off for a moment. All right. So tell me a little bit about the kinds of video content that work for you. Both of you. We'll start with Gary first. Gary, what types of video content do you find to be the most fruitful in terms of your business and getting the most, I guess, bang for your account?
Well, certainly people are in real estate, people are looking at houses all the time. And so the consumer has become very proficient at getting Zillow on their phone and swiping left and swiping right to see what properties they can look at. And so the first approach we had at your suggestion, Dr. Tachi, was to let's do listings and let's do videos of the listings that we have. So what that essentially became was, and this, we're going back now, gosh, 13 years or more. What that meant at the time was we had large scale video, and large scale video essentially was maybe up to 5 minutes. And we've learned over time that time compression has to go down. Right. And, we were struggling to get it to 60 seconds, and now we struggle to get it to 30 seconds. And sometimes we do reels that are only 15 seconds, but over that learning time or learning curve, we've learned how to be more concise, how to be abbreviated, how to get the main points across so that we can essentially provide a hook for the buyer to take a look at the listings that we have. So that's how we really got started. And then we have some other examples when you're ready.
Oh, absolutely. We love other examples. So Shaina, let's talk about you and how you use video to be the most fruitful for you. What kind of content resonates with your audience?
So right now, my audience really resonates with reels. I think initially we were kind of like wary, like, what the heck is a reel? But it really is a snapshot for the audience to kind of grasp who you are, in addition to grasp your methodology of thinking. So right now I use a lot of my video content for reels. And for my IG stories, it gives people a very quick snapshot because honestly, and unfortunately, including myself, we have a very short attention span. And so with reels, I am able to give people a snapshot into style advice or just like what's happening right now things that you need to be thinking about in the time lapse of 40 seconds. So I'm really kind of trying to hone in on my audience and what they want to pay attention to for 40 seconds at a time. In addition to YouTube, which honestly, I feel like a lot of people, even though like longer YouTube videos and longer YouTube vlogs are very informative, they really want to keep those to like a 15 to 20 minute interval. So that's how I'm using video right now, to give them quick snapshots, get straight to the point. And I think Reels and TikTok are the way to go as far as like using video content.
Okay, so Reels and TikTok.
Yeah.
So where have you, Shaina, where have you found that you have more traction from Reels, from TikTok? And did you say you do YouTube Shorts as well?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's easy. It's really easy. I mean, I think that honestly, I'm getting the most traction from my stories. Truth be told, a lot of people, and it kind of says something, because it really shows like people love to watch you, but they don't want to really like give you that like, but they want to watch you. Yes, because my reach on Instagram stories is phenomenal, like 2,000, 3,000 at a time, where
wow.
I post the same video on my Reels, it doesn't get that much traction. It doesn't get the same traction. So I think accessibility, and as well as just tapping into the fact that a lot of us have ADD and ADHD, and that for some reason stories really speaks to that part of our brains. I get a lot more engagement and views. TikTok kind of operates the same as IG stories, but I definitely find that the most traction and the most engagement that I get is on IG stories. So I really try to put a lot of emphasis on IG stories and meet my community where they are. You know, I'm not trying to force them to be somebody that they're not. If they like looking at stories, then I'm going to give you stories.
Give the people what they want. Give the people what they want.
I'm not trying to overextend them. I'm not trying to force them to, you know, think a different way. I want to meet them where they are, and I want to help wherever I can.
Because at the end of the day, it's about the audience. So you can sit there and create all day, but if there's no one to watch it, you're doing it for yourself. So you also do have to consider the audience's needs and wants and desires when it comes to video. Definitely. So, well, how do you balance that, Gary, in real estate? Because they're the things that we think we want to show, right? But then what are you finding that audiences actually want to see when it comes to real estate?
With regards to real estate, you know, I mean, you know, everybody's watched $1 Million Listing, right? And they see in 30 minutes how somebody looks at 3 houses and they make a decision, a life-changing decision on making a purchase of a home. And that's really not how it goes. I mean, that's a lot of editing. and so really what happens in real estate is that there's a I always use this saying, there's a top for every pot. And so that there's a realtor for every buyer, there's a realtor for every seller. And it's gotten to the point now where buyers and sellers, they want to use people that they can relate to. You know, what do I have in common with you? Do I have anything in common with you? Do you think like I think? Do you have the same kind of values I have? Are you liberal? Are you conservative? You know, how do you comb your hair? And I loved your comment, Shaina, if you will, about, you know, how you started with your Reels and Instagram and YouTube and so forth, because our beginning was a little bit different. Now, when I met Dr. Tachi, I had blonde hair. I am a baby boomer, and now I'm almost all gray. And
Lovely.
We know thank you. And we know, if we look at demographics of what these social media platforms are, who is on Facebook, primarily it is baby boomers.
Correct.
And one of the things that those baby boomers are doing is that they're looking at their grandkids' photos, because now they have access. So how do we now take real estate and give them access to things that they've never seen before? Many people, for example, in South Florida, including me, until I arrived here, had never seen a $20 million property.
Mm.
And, I was curious as can be. And so I know my audience is also curious.
Mhm.
And so when I do a video or I go do a walkthrough of that kind of property, I want to look at the design. I want to look at the finish level. I
Yeah.
want to look at things that are different than what we might talk about in terms of a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, because
Right.
those are important also, right? Those are the basic requirements. But people want to hear from you as far as what's your opinion? How does
Right.
this compare to another property? How does this actually, how would I feel? How would I feel? That's important. How would
Yeah.
I feel living in that house? How could I use that house to maximize what I do with my family, with my career, with my personal time?
Correct.
Mm, mm.
So I,
Absolutely. Okay, so this is
so
great.
I,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
so I did, and that led, of course, from Facebook to Instagram. So
Mhm.
because
Mm.
it was a natural pairing, and now we got the baby boomers kids,
Yeah.
and we got the baby boomers kids, and we got the millennials,
Right.
which sometimes are the grandkids, right?
Mhm.
So it's been an interesting evolution for us, and from that, of course, I've taken Dr. Tachi's lead all the time because I don't know nearly as much as she does, but we've gone from Facebook, Instagram, we're in LinkedIn because I think about real estate. You're geographically moving somewhere. You're looking for a job. That job may not be in New York City. It may be in South Florida. You need to find a realtor there when you move, right? So we try to look at the purpose of each of those social media platforms and then provide content appropriate to that platform. And it's
Mhm.
not always one size fits all, but we try to address different elements as far as what platform is going to play best for which audience.
Right.
Mm. Very interesting indeed. Very interesting indeed. So we've got some questions and we've got some comments. And here on MediaScope, we love to take the questions in the comments. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Let's see. Okay, so Chill with Elias is here. Hello, DS. How are you? It is great to see you. And we also have, so let's put that up. Oh, Ron Foster says, keep going. You've got this, which is great. And GR says, tech will do what it does. Talking. Okay, so I guess they're talking about me. That tech doesn't give a damn about me looking good.
Not at all.
It will
Not
shut,
at all.
not at all.
Not
And
at all.
see, it never, my camera like never shuts off on me. Today it did.
Today's the day.
Today is the day for all things to just befall me, but you won't get the best of me. You will not. Cheryl is here. What's up, Cheryl? It is so good to see you. And Chill with Elias says hello to me and fellow media scopers. In case you are wondering where MC Curtis is, he's not here. So he is not here today. So I'm running everything by myself, which is fun. Yay. It's like I this is what I used to do before he came on. And so now I'm out of the habit of doing it. And so when I have to do it, I'm like, you dare ask me to run my own show? It's crazy. So everybody is loving this conversation. And Diaz, or Chill with Elias, has this question. He asked, how did you pivot during the COVID period as a realtor? And what did you do differently? And this is for Gary.
Good question.
Chill, what a great question. Let me tell you, in March of 2020, when we shut down from COVID, I had 12 listings in the multiple listing service, and we were locked down, and we had no clue what to do. And so it was kind of like learn as you go. And basically, you may recall with the early days of COVID, they shut down Broadway. Mm-hmm. And they were going to wait. I think the day was, I don't know, Easter Sunday on April or whatever the date was, that they were going to reconsider what they were going to do with Broadway. And I had customers, and I kept using that example. I said, we're just kind of right now getting used to being locked down.
Correct. When
can we get back into your house? We don't know yet, but let's use the Broadway rule.
Right.
And so I think the Broadway rule was sometime around April the 19th. And I reconvened with each of my customers at that time. And I said, what do you want to do? And one by one, I had my listings all off the MLS. I had withdrawn them, and I thought there's no way we're going to be able to sell them. Mm-hmm. But one by one, my customers said, I've got a position at Harvard. I need to move to Boston. I've got to sell my house because my son's getting married. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. Let's go back on the market. So we full force went back on the market. And I was talking to other realtors and I said, this is what we're doing. We don't know if it's right or wrong, but I recommend that you get all your inventory back on the market, because that was before we had the shortage that we have right now. And we knew people wanted to come to Florida for different reasons, as opposed to no state income tax. They wanted to come here because of COVID. And so we need to have inventory to show them. And that's when we started having organized open houses. We had gloves, we had masks, we had disinfectants. We had a procedure that we put in place. We would meet you at the front door, and it was magical. It was absolutely magical, because what would happen was, instead of 1 or 2 people showing up, or maybe 10 people showing up at an open house, we had 30 people or 40 people or 50 people show up at an open house. And we were shocked. We thought, hey, Luna. We were shocked as far as what was going on. And so we learned as we went. It's kind of like when you start with video, you start where you are. And we did the same thing with COVID. We started where we were, and we let the environment tell us or dictate to us what we needed to do. Now, there were some moments where we felt unsafe, but we also learned how to use and implement video stronger than ever. We went in full force, video cameras rolling, not just of the property, but the neighborhood. We talked to the sellers. What do the sellers like about this particular property? What do the sellers like about this community? What does the community look like? How far is this house from the beach? How far is this house from Miami? All the things that you like to do. I mean, real estate is a local phenomenon, and it's location. So yes, during COVID, it gave us, we cut our teeth in COVID with regards to video. And it allowed us in that very first year to probably have about 20 sales sight unseen. The only time the buyer saw the house or the condo was on the walkthrough on the way to the closing table.
Sight unseen?
Sight unseen.
Wow, the power of video, I tell you. That's incredible. That's incredible. In COVID, sight unseen.
It was crazy, because Gary could tell, and I'll add in, because I was working with Gary. Gary will tell you that there were so many people that were looking to come down here to South Florida, because it's like, well, if I'm going to be locked up, let me at least be in a place that's warm and and sunny, and where there's beach and things that I could do, where I could get space, So there was a lot of interest in buying during the pandemic in South Florida. And so what we ended up doing too, because again, there were so many restrictions that we couldn't go in. There were 2 things. We ended up doing lives. This is how we started doing a lot of lives. We ended up doing lives where Gary or Eileen or somebody else would come on, right? And we would do a show, and they would explain all the features. We would go through all the pictures. We would go through the video and talk a little bit about the features of the home. And if you have any questions, call me at XYZ. So we actually started doing like live real estate shows. And then secondly, we do a segment called Tuesdays with Gary. And Tuesdays with Gary, it was just him speaking before. And he asked, how can we continue doing this? Because, we couldn't get together so that I could shoot. I said, well, we could do it like this. And that's how I introduced him to this. And we would have guests on, several. So now really only quarterly do we do something live, but still that really cemented his place in the video space. The fact that he was really the only realtor doing these kinds of lives and having these conversations.
Right. That's amazing. That's a great show.
It was fun.
And you did a great job, and you still do a great job. So folks, if you are just joining us, welcome to this conversation. We're going to get to some more questions and comments, but guess what? My name is Tachi, media professor, filmmaker, media content producer. I am also a journalist. This is MediaScope. We talk all things media, tech, and pop culture. Yeah, we're here every week, basically, right? And all this information here that you see at the bottom of the screen on all these platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, where else am I? Facebook Live, Instagram,
everywhere, omnipresent.
YouTube, everywhere. And of course, the wonderful Gospel 107.1 FM in Nassau, Bahamas, and the rest of the Caribbean. We wish you blessings, and we are so happy to have you. They're going to be listening tomorrow at 8 p.m. in the Caribbean. And again, if you're on YouTube, you're watching and you like it, why not subscribe? Go ahead and subscribe and like this video, because then you can get to know when we're on by subscribing, and then making sure you get notifications. You get to know when we are on. And oh yeah, this is me. My name is Dr. Tachi. In case you've never seen me before, welcome. Welcome, welcome. All right, so we're going to get back into our wonderful conversation with all of these folks here. We've got Gary Lanham, who is real estate professional extraordinaire, and Shaina Herrera, who is fashion designer and fashion stylist extraordinaire, in addition to a content creator. And today we're talking about how they use video in their various industries to up-level what they do to benefit their businesses. And we're taking questions from you, because probably you have questions on how to do what they do. So let's get to it. Shall we do some more comments and questions?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. So GR, my good friend, has this question. Is there ever a concern of posting too many videos? Oh, wait, no, sorry. That's the wrong one. Loving this. YSC, it's not acting right for me today. Here we go. Johnny Ray, how are you? He's saying he's loving this. And she's asking, GR is asking, is there ever a concern of posting too many videos? I know the platform makes a difference, for example, LinkedIn versus YouTube. So go ahead. Whoever wants to answer can.
I don't think that it hurts to post too many videos. When I started in content creation, I think that, I reached out to a couple of people who are already in the space, and I got various responses where some people found that, if they post with a lot of air in between their next post, that they got more engagement, because it's just like a surplus issue. It's like demand, where other people, it's like, no, if you post regularly, people, come to expect you to post consistently. So they love that consistent information and content that you give them. So I really think that it all depends on your audience. I don't think there's anything wrong with posting once a day. I don't think there's anything wrong with posting twice a day. It depends on what your audience and your community is thirsty for. And what I have found, that I've done both, where I will go a couple of days at a time and I won't post anything. And then the next thing that I post gets a considerable amount of engagement. And then I've done it where I'm posting every day, maybe sometimes twice a day, and I get a good amount of engagement. It just depends on really what your audience needs at that time. And so I think there's a lot of trial and error in that. And I think that a part of that trial and error is posting consistently. Try posting once a day. Try uploading that video once a day. Try uploading 2 videos or 2 posts once a day, whatever you have the bandwidth for, and really measuring what your audience has the capacity to engage with. So no, I think that it really just depends on who your audience is, and you really have to hone in on what their needs are. There's no one right way. That's in short story shorter. There's no one right way.
That right there.
Mm-hmm.
There is no one right way. Go ahead.
I love what you say about, there's no right way, because a lot of it has to do with what is it like to create content, and how much can I do, right? And a lot of it's going to relate to finding out what your capacity is, right? What's your timeline and how that fits your capacity, and how much velocity you can get with that capacity. I remember when I first started doing the videos, I was kind of like the Blair Witch Project guy, like with the camera and I was running a team of really hotshot realtors, right? And I was videoing everything, and it was ad nauseum, right? And that was too much. That was too much. But what I had a chance to do by going through that experience is that I thought, well, this really didn't work. this worked okay, but this over here worked the best. And let me tell you what worked the best. What worked the best is that, we live in a society today, especially after COVID, where people don't trust much,
Right.
and they are holding on to their knowledge and their information because you're going to steal it from them.
Right.
And what I wanted to do was, how can we change the script? How can we change the platform? How can we say, okay, don't worry about me. I want to reach out and help you. I want to help you. So when Shitachi talks about we do a Tuesdays with Gary, which is every Tuesday on Facebook. If you haven't liked us, please like the Gary Lanham group on Facebook as well as Instagram, and you'll have access to that program. But one of the things we like to do is I certainly do not know all the answers. When I became a realtor, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to learn all this stuff. And now it's 19 years later, and I learn more now than I did when I was an initial realtor, because number one, I'm willing to learn more. And number two, I realize it's an infinite abyss out there of knowledge that I can actually learn. And so if I can then pass that knowledge on, but how do I do that? I have to find an ambassador, right? I have to find an ambassador who might be a real estate attorney. It might be a home inspection guy. It might be somebody who's a divorce specialist. It might be a probate attorney who deals with wills and estates. But how can I bring them into my team so that they don't, we don't necessarily support each other financially, but how can I make them look good? How can I give them some kind of airtime so that, they see value in participating in my social media efforts, right? And doing better and doing good for other people and helping somebody else succeed, that is just as rewarding, if not more so, than selling a house.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Absolutely. So Shaina, then we're going off of that, and then we're going to get some questions. Tell us your thoughts about using your talents to help others. How do you do that through video?
So for me, I'm all about inspiration. I have consumed a lot of social media on a daily basis. And what I have found is, and no shade to anyone who does this, but what I found is I don't respond well to individuals who are trying to tell me what to do. I want to be inspired. I don't want to feel like if I don't do it your way, I'm not winning. So for me, I just go for inspiration. If I post something about, how to style XYZ, most recently, I've got a lot of DMs and questions about how to get your kiddo into the entertainment business. I always try to approach it from an inspirational standpoint rather than if you do this or if you don't do this, you will or will not be successful, because that's a lie. Everybody's path is different. So for me, I try to use my video and my information as inspirational. This is how I did it. This is what worked for me. This may work for you. And this is the cleanest way to do XYZ, and I encourage people to take bits and pieces from what I'm saying and make it their own. But for me, that's my biggest thing. I always try to come from a standpoint of this is what worked for me. This may work for you if we have similarities, or if you want to take bits and pieces, this is what's going to help you advance and get forward with your goals. Because no one fits the same shoe, or maybe some of us do and some of us don't. But for me, I always try to take the standpoint of, okay, what works for me? And I know a lot of times, especially in my career where we also have to think about, okay, I'm not designing for myself. I have to design for a customer who is not me. With social and with video, I kind of go introspective and say, okay, well, what do I respond to? Because that's my audience. And I don't respond well to people who say, if you do this thing this way, exactly, this is going to be successful, because in my mind, it was like, that's not true, So it's more of a suggestive content relation rather than you must do this, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Perfect sense. Total sense. So we have some people. Rashawn Vincent is in the chat and she says, hello. Hello, Rashawn. She also has a question and we'll get to that in a moment. But After Dark with Johnny Ray has this to say, since you mentioned $1 Million Listing, that he actually decorated for $1 Million Listing and it was something else.
I like that.
I'm sure you have stories for days.
I love it.
And he's a great
something else. Give us all the juice.
I'm sure he'll give us some details on things when it comes to his show on IndieSoup, because he's on with us on IndieSoup as well. Also, Jawaru Gambian has this. Hello, Jawaru Gambian. How are you? He has this question. Where are you? I'm waiting for it to pop up. Okay. There we go. Can reels or videos be considered a legal disclosure, lack thereof, or is the paperwork still ruling? Are we getting what he means by this, or do we need more explanation?
I need more explanation.
Yeah, more explanation, please.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Okay. And I don't want to misinterpret what you meant. So, Jawaru Gambian, can you kind of put some more explanation there so that we can fully answer what your question, please? So we'll come back to you. And also, I saw a good friend, yes, Ron TV Metro, who's joining us in the Philippines. It is now 6:55 a.m. in the morning in Manila. Welcome. He is.
Good morning.
Hello.
Let me tell you, I have so many, like we have History Needs You, who is here, who is in Scotland. And so right now in Scotland, I think they should be like 6 hours ahead of us, I believe. So either 5 or 6 hours ahead of us. So it is like almost 1 o'clock in the morning. So thank you so much, History Needs You, for being here. Gary Jackson, hey, Gary, says this is great info and strategy to think about the audience. Thank you, Gary, so much for being here. Your namesake, Gary. And let's go to GR Houston Jack. And she says, we know consistency is part of the game.
Right.
What analytics or metrics are you two tracking, if any? Whoever wants to start, go ahead.
So
okay.
Go ahead, Shaina, if you want to start.
I'm a talkie, so I was like, okay, let me not over talk.
No, you're fine.
No, go ahead.
The analytics, it depends on what exactly I'm doing currently in my social media. So for instance, I have a couple of partnerships with like skincare brands, and their analytics really are honed in on, okay, conversion. How many people are actually fully watching my content, and then how many of them are actually going to not only from add to cart to purchase. So for that, I'm really looking at like, what are my conversions as far as like get ready with me, because I know we're really familiar with that, and just style inspiration. I'm really just looking to see how many people I'm reaching and then what the demographic within that is. I do think it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to get brand partnerships, I would definitely be looking at what your demographic is as far as like who's looking at my videos. Okay, full transparency. A lot of my videos, I see there is a influx of men who are not buying the products that I'm advertising. But what is important is that the women that are watching my videos, they are engaging, they're commenting, they're actually clicking on the links that I provide, or they're clicking on the products that I'm tagging in my post. So even though I get an influx of men who are just watching the videos, and I appreciate them, I'm really looking at, okay, what are the women doing? Who are my demographic? Who are interested in the products that I'm showing? How many of them are actually going to the site, and how many of them are actually purchasing? And so if you are not currently in a brand partnership, that is a little bit tricky. But what I will say is utilize your dashboard and just get knowledge on your ratio. You know, if you have your profile set to a content creator, you have the ability to look at your professional dashboard. And I would look at that professional dashboard and I would say, okay, I've posted a get ready with me. How many of those people are females? How many of those people are females who follow me? And how many of those people are females who are within my personal demographic, and what are they looking for? I always try to go after, and I hate that term go after, but I always try to speak to the people who are actually in my own demographic. I'm not 25 anymore. I love you, 25
No?
year olds. No.
Oh.
but I'm looking to
You could have
speak,
fooled us.
right? I appreciate that. I'm looking to speak to the females and the individuals who are within my demographic, because I know what my needs are and I know what I'm looking for. And so I really would just utilize your professional dashboard that is provided for you on, say, at Instagram, so that you can look and see who is actually looking at your posts and who is actually engaging with your posts. And then those outliers, who are the fringe, who are the men who just like to see whatever, or who are the younger demographic who love to see your posts but really aren't clicking on the links that you provide to buy XYZ. Just kind of gauge what they're interested in, and then I think you'll have a better understanding of how you should be utilizing your analytics. So for me, I always look at, just to sum it down, I always look at, okay, who is within my demographic, because that's who I'm really speaking to. Okay, and then who else is also looking? Okay, so I need to make sure that I'm providing information and providing vernacular that they understand. There is a whole other language that the other generation speaks. So you have to make sure that you understand that. And then after that, just make sure that, whoever else is like in the cheap seats has something to look at and something to pull them in to engage. So even if it doesn't speak to them directly, they might know somebody. They might have a niece. They might have a wife. They might have a cousin. Oh, I saw this XYZ person who speaks about this. You're into this. Why don't you follow them on their page? Or they might just forward one of your posts and say, hey, this is something that you're into. You know what I mean? So I think start with yourself, and then branch out. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Totally does. Totally does. So Gary, go ahead and take a, I hate the term take a stab, or so just answer that question.
Get in there, Gary.
So Shaina, I learned a lot from you tonight, and thank you so much for your insights. And as far as the way I use the social media and how do I measure the metrics, right? What are the metrics? I utilize Facebook as well as Instagram's insights themselves. And I also, so I know who they are, the age ranges, where they're coming from. And then I compare that to my website analysis as well, right? So if I'm trying to drive them to my website so they get to know or see properties in Fort Lauderdale, just not the properties I only do videos on, I need to know where they're coming from. And it allows me to see which property they've looked at, right? And while I can't necessarily reach out and grab that person and say, if you like that, you should like this. I liked your insight, Shaina, as far as I've started using direct messaging a lot more with regards to the posts that I see, right? What interests me, right? And I have I am not the wizard of real estate, but I know enough real estate now to know what might be interesting to other people, right? And if it's interesting to me, sometimes it may be interesting to somebody else, and I'll test that, right? And I don't do like A/B testing, but what I do is I'm able to look back on my insights page, either for Facebook or for Instagram, and I can see a distribution of how the population is following that, right?
Right.
So I can see, for example, I hate seeing I'm down, right? So you're down 29%. This post is down 29% because what happened, right? So I go back and I take a look at that post and I say, well, what can I subjectively look at here that I could have done differently?
Right.
And there's not a lot of science to that, right? But I can judge what I wear, the way I look, the way my hair looks, as well as what I say.
Right.
And is the information that I talk about pertinent? Is it accurate?
Right.
Is it helpful and useful to somebody else? And that allows me to then craft a new message.
Right.
I can't deal with the past, right?
Correct.
But I can deal with right now. And if I deal right now, the future is going to be held pretty amazing, I think.
Right.
So it allows me retrospectively to look at what's happened in the past to try to create better current content, which will then take me to the future.
I like that. I like that thought. I like the thought process of I can't, change what the past was. That's 1000% accurate. 1000%.
I'll just shut up and continue to take the questions because you all have clearly taken over this.
I love it.
Shana, when are you coming down to Fort Lauderdale?
Oh, very soon. Very soon.
Well, you have some place to stay if you're coming. So don't worry. So Ron TV Metro echoes what you all are saying and says no one narrative fits everyone. Absolutely. He's also a YouTuber and content creator. Also, it looks like we've got the food truck is here. And of course, I don't have sound effects, but picture screeching in on one wheel because Serena Wills, the queen of food truckery and the minister of libation, is here. And she's got a New York special today. Yes. Get a pizza and a couple of free NY style ices. Oh my goodness, some Italian ices. Wow.
That's a good drink.
Absolutely. There we go. All right. So you've got some fodder from the food truck for your dining pleasure today. And we've got some more questions. So let's keep going. Do you all mind if we go a little bit longer?
No, we're
just
here
a tiny bit longer.
We're here for you guys.
Fantastic. By the way, it's also Taco Wednesday. We're never here on Tuesdays, always here on Wednesdays. So today is a Taco Wednesday, and this is a great place to get ideas for what you're going to eat for dinner tonight. If I have the gumption to make some tacos, I was thinking about doing some coconut shrimp tacos. That's only if I have the gumption. So probably I'll just be eating a bowl of cereal. So let's keep going. We've got, let's see, we will no one strategy fits everyone. Okay, David Benjamin Eccles is here. One of my favorite powered bison. How are you? Thank you so much. So Cheryl Woods has this question and asks, what do you think about bringing one's personal political views to your platform? Oh, I can't wait. Whoever wants to start may start.
Sure, I'll start. So as a realtor, I am made of Teflon.
Right.
So I have to make sure nothing sticks to me, no negatives and really even no positives stick to me when I deal with customers.
Right.
And I am in the sales business, and I am not, and I have my own personal values, beliefs, mores, and traditions that I follow, which may not be similar to all of my sellers and my buyers.
Right.
And I think I've wrestled with this because I find that anytime you create such a niche for yourself that you're so tight, you may still be able to do business within that niche, but it may not allow you to become all you can be. And I think the way you become all you can be is to understand the different components, political components, for example, of what people are out there. Certainly know the issues so you can be conversational on a one-to-one basis,
right?
But never on a social media basis.
I agree 1,000%. I agree with you 1,000%. My business is my business and your business is your business. And what does that have to do with the business that we need to do right now?
Right.
That's my thought process.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. It is very tricky because there's, especially in the climate we're in now, it is, you find yourself needing to sit on your hands because it's some of the things that you think, and it's incredible that
Right.
sometimes people think they can say, like, to me, they'll say anything. I'm like, well, did you think I was going to agree with you? And I'm just quiet because I was like, do you think I agree? Why would you think I am? Are you testing me? And there's a lot of that too, for people testing you to see if you align with what they believe, and whether or not I am going to continue to watch you, whether or not I'm going to continue to patronize you. So that must be hard. So sometimes the best policy is to say nothing except for what we have going on right here, right now.
Yeah. I think for me also, outside of just not wanting to alienate my audience, I feel like I want to give my audience room to breathe and to feel like they can have their own thoughts. You get into this world of influencing, and you have a platform, which inadvertently, like your audience, as soon as you have a platform, you can influence somebody, even if it's one person. I want people to have the ability and to feel safe into thinking and feeling how they want to feel. Now, if you want to have a conversation about that offline, I'm willing to do that. But I don't want anybody to feel like they have to agree with me just because they like the way that I look or they like the jokes that I crack. You know what I mean? And I want people to, because quote unquote, that's what America is built off of, freedom of speech. Even if I don't agree with it, I want you to feel safe enough to have that feeling and still be able to commune with me. I think once we start, unless there's something like just egregious where it's just like, no, this needs to be spoken out against. I want people to feel like they can bring their thoughts and ideas to me and to the community, and let's have a conversation about it. I feel when we start laying down concrete views and thoughts, it really starts to alienate people. I am a person where right is right and wrong is wrong, but I want to hear you first. And I want to hear why you think that way. And then in that space, I want to be able to educate you as much as possible as to why maybe I don't agree with that, or maybe that's not as healthy for the overall community that we're trying to build. So for me, that's one of the reasons why I really try. Sometimes I speak out about things that I'm just adamant about, but a lot of times I kind of just sit back and listen to what the conversation is. You know, you don't know what you don't know. And I only have one set of eyes, you know, and I only have one set of experiences and history. So I always just want to make whoever it is in my community feel safe to say what you need to say, and then we can address it there. And I'm not trying to make a spectacle or a circus or make you an example if you don't agree with what I'm saying or thinking.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I love
Go ahead.
I love meeting you today, Shaina. So I'm going to go back to that, your politics, and I'm going to give you a corollary.
Yeah.
So in real estate, we deal with fair housing.
Okay. Yes.
The right to fair housing, right? So I may not give you my opinion of whether I'm a Democrat or a Republican.
Correct.
But if you start asking me questions about fair housing,
right,
prejudice, bigotry, or steering customers to areas that that I think they should buy in as opposed to what they believe they should buy in,
right,
then I'm going to raise my hand,
right,
and I'm going to point out that I'm sorry, that is not appropriate conversation in my car,
right,
in my car, and I control that in my car,
right.
And so it's funny because I've had people get out of my car.
Better for you, Gary. Better for you.
Get out.
But I do a lot of business with my good friend Eileen Mulkey, and she always reminds me of one thing: rejection is protection.
Yes. Yes.
But when it comes to fair housing, I did want to add that that's a corollary to politics, and especially in today's time frame.
Right.
And I think you have to be very careful. And that's where we all have those beliefs, right? And that's where you can stand up strong and be who you are. And that also should attract as well as repel.
Yes.
from doing business with you.
Yeah.
Mm,
I like that. It should attract
yes.
and repel.
And
I like
repel.
that. I like that a
I
lot.
hope you all are taking notes. I mean, there
No,
are so many,
that is
so
a
many. I mean, for the
major
audience,
statement. It should attract
this
and
is
repel. Absolutely.
absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. So let's do this. So Ron TV Metro is up because he has an early event that he has to do. There are two questions that I want to do before I let you all go. So Jawaru Gambian has clarified what he said, what he meant earlier. Home purchasing. States require certain disclosures. Are reels/videos now part of disclosures legally, even if a buyer sees something that's not mentioned? For example, from Gary.
Okay.
Well, I can tell you about sellers' disclosures because in my business, while it is not legally required that you provide the buyer with the seller's disclosure, it is damn good practice.
Gotcha.
And so you want to make sure that that seller, and I put it very simply to my sellers because I'm a listing agent. I said, look, we live in Florida. Florida is a very litigious state because there's a lot of fraud in Florida. And because of that, if there's something wrong with this house, I need you to commit to that on a piece of paper. Because whatever you tell me in person and on this piece of paper, I'm going to share with the buyer because that's going to limit your liability. If you do not tell me about that patched hole was a roof leak and you've now skimmed it over so nobody can tell, and that somebody is on your roof and falls through and gets hurt, you're going to get sued.
Right.
You're going to get sued, and you have no defense. You have no protection. Had you disclosed that information, you've got a fighting chance, and you probably won't have any damages against you personally.
Right.
So the seller's disclosure, as far as with related to video, like, I ask my customer when I have my customers do videos too, like, what do you like about the house? Tell me about the sunlight. Tell me about the how the space makes you feel. How do you use the space? Is it close to the kitchen when you're watching Netflix? I mean, give me a sensation of how you do stuff in this house, man. Yeah. And that's the kind of disclosures that we do on video. And then as far as any defects of the property, that would have to be stated in a separate document, but not related to the video.
Okay. Okay.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. And that Jason Donaldson is here. He is one of my good friends from still now, but we both lived in DC together and we both danced in 2 dance companies together. So this is my dance buddy. Yeah, absolutely. So DS, and this is the final question because I want to be respectful of your time. We're like at 1 hour and 6. So DS asked, what is your biggest challenge when creating content? And I would add, and how do you overcome that?
Okay, I'll start.
Yes, you start. You go ahead and start.
Honestly, the biggest challenge for me, full transparency, is consistency. And I think my consistency has been predicated on trying to navigate this thing called algorithm. And so what I have recently resolved is screw the algorithm. What does my audience need? I'm not trying to be trendy. I'm not trying to be catchy. I'm not trying to have a catch-all.
You're right there.
Yeah, this is not a money grab. I want to speak to my audience because I was getting really tripped up on how do I make the algorithm do what I need it to do to build my audience. And so for me, I have found now that consistency, and you'll see a lot of social media content creators say this, and it's absolutely true. And it might sound arbitrary, but like consistency. But the consistency has to be, what does my audience need? I don't care if you have an audience of 100 people. You need to be consistent and show up for them in a way that they understand that is helpful for them. And so for me, that has been the biggest challenge because for a while I found myself trying to capture what is going to make the algorithm work for me to get me to more people. It's like, well, what about these people that already follow you, that consistently comment on the post, whatever you say, who consistently read your or look at your stories. So for me, that is the biggest thing, consistency. And I think also with consistency, a lot of people get tripped up on it has to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. Say what you're going to say what is relevant to what you think your customer needs, or what the people who are watching you and looking to you for advice needs. You know, if it doesn't look like someone has a whole media and marketing team behind you, that's fine, because your demographic does not.
Shayna, hold that thought, because we'll continue, because I know Gary has to run to the airport. So yeah, no. So hold that thought. Go ahead, Gary, and give us a quick answer to the hardest part for you of creating content.
Yeah.
The hardest part about creating content is committing the schedule to do it.
Yeah.
And you know, if I time block and put something on my calendar, then there's 99% chance it's going to get done. But I have to be consistent with that.
Yeah.
And I have to set up a regular time. I'm a creature of habit. I like having habits.
Yes.
And I like doing the similar things at similar times, like working out in the morning at the gym, for example, or going to walk my dog in the afternoon. I have to have reliable time slots of what I'm going to do. I am a morning content creator. And so what that means for me is that I'm also, it opens a door for me because I love research, you know? And so if somebody asks me something, or they ask me a take on something, I'm not afraid to use Dr. Google and several other sources to try to get that content together so that we can actually put together some information that's interesting, useful, and can be followed. And if it doesn't have those three criteria, if it's not interesting, it's not useful, and it can't be followed, then I can't provide any other content to my viewers.
Right.
Gary, you, as always, are a gem. First of all, I put up the social media. I'll do it again. Make sure that you are following Gary at Gary Lanham Group everywhere. It's consistent across the board. Follow him if you are in South Florida and you're looking to get something in South Florida. Gary, he is the reason for all this. The reason that's how I know him. He sold me my house, and he has been a dear friend ever since.
It's amazing.
Gary, thank you. Go ahead, because we're not going to be responsible for you being late to the airport.
Right.
And we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure being with you, Shaina. Really wonderful to meet you, and thank you, audience, for letting me participate. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later, Gary. And then there were two. So let me put it backstage. Okay. And then there were two. Yes. So let me take a few more questions. Then I'm going to let you go, because I know that you also have things that you need to do.
Dr. Vibe is I'm hungry.
Exactly. So it's not like us where we're like, that's why I'm trying to be respectful of time. But Dr. Vibe is here. He is also one of your network mates. And hello, he says, great, good ethics. Jay is here, and he said, well, that's Elias. Hey, Elias, he says, thank you. And Jay is here and says, hello, Jay, how are you? Hello. And everybody is saying thank you to Gary, absolutely. And Jawaru Gambian, you know what? Get at Gary, and he's really good about, if you want to ask him the question that you put in, he's really good about getting back to people on social media. So get at him either on Instagram or Facebook at Gary Lanham Group everywhere. And yeah, absolutely. So finally, how can I'm going to put up your things, but are there places that are best to reach you? I put this, so hopefully that is correct.
No, that's absolutely correct. If you want to get in contact with me, I am a stickler about answering DMs and comments, just because I appreciate the community. I appreciate your engagement. So message me directly, DM at Shaina.a.Herrera on IG, as well as TikTok, whether it be a comment or whether it be direct message. I promise you I will get back to you as soon as possible, because I appreciate your engagement and I appreciate the community. I like to use IG as a form and sense of community rather than just people who I'm trying to sell. So yeah. message me. I'm available whenever.
Fantastic. And really quickly, DS is asking if you see 80s and 90s fashion making a return.
Yes. And I love it. I love all of it. Yes, I do. No, 1000%. I think that one thing that people have to remember is that everything is cyclical. And so even if it's an interpretation of something that you've seen in the early 2000s, it's always going to circle back around. Like we're seeing a real submergence in 2000s, late 90s fashion, a lot of references to Aaliyah, a lot of references to Britney Spears, a lot of references to Clueless with their own spin. I freaking love it. And so with that said, also, I think that a lot of people should also be looking inward as far as like inward to their closets, because if you're anything like me, you hold on to pieces that have emotional value to you. So before you go out and buy a whole ton of things that speak to the trend that's happening now, which was a trend in 2000, look inward, look into your closet and kind of take thoughtful measures before you go purchase that pair of sunnies that kind of speaks to the trend that is happening right now. You probably have something already similar to it. But yes, there's a pure reemergement of 90s, 2000s, Clueless, Aaliyah, much more braggadocious, which I love. And for those women who are more curvaceous, I'm sorry to tell you, like the low jeans are back. And so we're just going to have to make do what we
Damneth mine eyes, damneth mine eyes.
Yeah.
Who came up with low-rise jeans?
I've literally been like, I have a graph. It's like, okay, how low can I get with my current hips after a child with these jeans? Because that's where it's going. Where there's a will, there's a way. But yes, 90s and early 2000s are making a comeback. And you just have to embrace it and make it your own, whatever that
Absolutely. is. And we've seen that with the emergence of baguettes. Every
Yes.
designer has the baguette, the totally late 90s, early 2000s.
Yes.
So,
the glasses,
fantastic.
the sunnies are definitely 1000% 90s now. So yeah, tap in. And don't feel pressured to go get the designer brands. I literally bought a pair of sunnies from Amazon as well as Walgreens that had the same vibe as, you know, your Christian Dior. So especially I would encourage anybody who is infatuated with a trend, don't drop your biggest coin on that. You know, save that coin for classic pieces.
Let me tell you really quickly.
Yeah.
So you know the and I really don't like them so much, but the bubble glasses from Loewe.
Yes.
Temu has the same ones for $3. So yes, I'm like, why would I?
Don't do it to yourself. Go to Temu.
Don't do it.
Get those glasses. Take your little picture on Instagram. Take your little picture in your video on TikTok and keep it pushing. I would not invest big dollars in that. Buy some property from Gary.
And that's a whole other conversation. Absolutely. This has been absolutely amazing. And GR says, Lord bless the low rise again.
Have mercy.
They needed to be buried.
Good idea.
What happened?
Who thought the low rise was a good idea?
It's a terrible idea.
Everybody has a crack.
Terrible.
Who is this? What alien is this that they designed these pants for?
It's awful. You the only thing you can do is stand up straight in low-rise jeans.
Don't sit down.
You can't sit down. You can't walk. Just stand in one place. Stand up straight. Shaina, I know you have to get going as well, and I want to respect your time, but you have been absolutely amazing. You and Gary are such a great mix together. Thank you so much. And we're going to be able to see, don't get me to lying about the day. I have to look at the schedule, but Shaina's show on our platform is called Upfront with Shaina Herrera. You're going to be getting the upfront behind the scenes with notable people. It is going to be absolutely amazing. And of course, Gary is Tuesdays with Gary. Shaina, I'm going to go ahead and let you go and I'll just sign off. But go ahead and thank you so much, my dear. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. Wasn't that fun? That was really, really great. Both of them are such amazing people. And I am really lucky to know them and lucky that they said yes to the call to being on IndieSoup Media. You can watch their content coming soon. I will let you all know when we're getting ready to launch, but the launch is going to happen sooner rather than later. Everybody is saying thank you. Rashawn says thank you to Shaina. Thank you for saying great show, David Benjamin Eccles. Thank you so very much. Wait, no, that's the wrong one. See, technology. There we go. Stand in one place. Yes, exactly. That's all you could do in low rise. That was the stupidest invention ever. So thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you for putting up with me having to run it takes a minute for it to get back into my muscle memory since I don't have to do it as much for myself. But you know what? It is what it is, and we made it work. So with that, I can't wait to see you all back here next week. Any questions or anything for me, make sure you get at me. I'm on social media at Dr._Tachi on Instagram. And that's really a good way to get me because I'm always on Instagram. But however you're connected with me, send me a message. I would love to hear from you. With that, I'm going to sign off. I sincerely, sincerely love you for watching. I bid you adieu. You guys, myself, and all of this information, I think we should try and exit stage left, don't you? This way, stage left. All right, guys, until next week, cheers. Here we go. Let's see if I can make this work. I know we can. Here we go. I'll see you next week. Cheers.
Close the doors, walk across the corridor. We got something to show you. Media is our repertoire. Fiddle with the same news, no channel to use. Cruise control mentalities. Here we offer you. We gon' show you on your way. The content it never strays from positive and uplifting. Once a week, the scope gifted. With the presence in your eyes, what a distraction. Beautiful to soul, especially in action. This year not fashion. Came in abundance. Films like in Sundance, tech like the pop or Tachi Queen. You are Curtis, a beast heart. You must carry, cause MCs they all vary. So do not they